Hello everyone, we are going to look at another video in our troubleshooting the Colle system series. This video we're going to look at what white can do when black plays the annoying G6. Now, a good option to go into that keeps you in familiar territory of the Colle system is to try and play a Tory attack. However, in this game, black adopts a move order where you won't really think to bring the bishop out to g5 unless you're a normal uh, player of the Tory attack. This game is between Grandmaster Robert Fontaine um, with the white pieces and against Grandmaster Solak with the black pieces. And this game took place in 2005. So Fontaine started out d4, d5 from Solak, knight of 3, knight of 6. And this is what I'm talking about. Here, black still has the options of coming out with that annoying bishop f4, bishop g4, bishop f5, bishop g4 as we discussed in the previous videos. So here, if you're playing the Colle system proper, you're not really going to bring the bishop out here to g5 unless you plan on, going to like a Tory attack setup. Okay, so here Fontaine just played e3 and now black played g6. So now that kind of takes away the ability to get this bishop out of the pawn chain. So Fontaine just continued on with bishop d3. Of course, c4 is possible transposing, but bishop d3, bishop g7, knight bd2, castle, castle, and now black plays c5 here. Of course, c3 can be played. D takes here can be played, but then you have to worry about a queen c7 followed by e5, giving up the center. Fontaine just played knight e5 here. C takes d4, e takes d4, and now knight c6. Knight takes, b takes, and now black has a nice potential mobile pawn center here, so white must be careful here. But now here's the plan. Notice white's next several moves. He's going to play against this weakness here in the position, which is c5. So knight b3. Black gets in his tactical shot e5. D takes e5, followed by knight g4. Okay, so he's going to get the pawn back as he has two pieces attacking it. Alright, if f4, then white would be in for a rude awakening after queen b6, king h1, and then knight f2, losing the exchange. So that's the idea behind that. So knight g4, bishop e2, and knight takes e4. So now what we see here is that black has the hanging pawn structure, and again, this is what I like to call like a 50-50 type of structure because it can be good or bad depending on the position of the rest of the pieces on the board. If black can get the hanging pawns mobilized, then they can be very effective as you can see, for instance, by this example, how many squares those two pawns control just by being side by side. Alright, so of course black's desires to mobilize them, use them to restrict and drive away the white pieces, and also continue to take more space from white. White conversely wants to fix those pawns, right, and just make them targets and utilize the weak dark squares, right, and keep the pawns disjointed, right. They're powerful like this, but weak like this. Okay, so that's the strategy of both sides here. So this is a plan that can be employed by white. Play against these double pawns. So c3 is there, so we're already in the process of restricting their movement. Okay, before you want to attack a target, you want to stop it from moving because you don't want to attack a moving target. a5, bishop e3. Notice the control over the dark squares, d4 and c5 respectively. a4, knight c3, a3, b3, weakening the diagonal somewhat for the bishop on g7, but at the same time taking c4 away from the knight on e5. Rook e8, bishop d4. So we see white has accomplished part of his plan. He has fixed those pawns, and he has taken over the weak squares occupied the weak squares in front of those pawns. Knight d7. So of course, black wants to remove those pieces. Knight takes d7. Bishop takes d7. Bishop takes g7. King takes g7. And now bishop f3. Notice the same effect of demobilizing the pawns, because of course this pawn can't move, it would just simply be captured. And if this pawn tried to move, then d5 would be captured. So notice, in spite of the pieces being traded off, those pawns are still immobilized, meaning that they're liabilities now. Bishop f5, queen d4 check, queen f6, rook ac1. And good move, because now if queen takes d4, then after c takes d4, then the c pawn is backward and weak. So bishop e4 is played. Queen takes f6. I like to move bishop g4 here, but queen takes d4. Excuse me, queen takes f6 check was played. King takes, and now bishop takes e4 was played. And now d takes, and now rook fd1. So we can see black has this pawn majority on the king side. That's why he captured with the pawn. So he has this 4-3 majority on the king side, but it's going to take him a while to get that going. He has to move his king out of the way. So perhaps the king moves like king e5 and f5, so on and so forth, and he hopes to create a passed pawn. White hopes to do the same thing on the queen side with his 3-2 majority over there. The only thing I can say is that black's pawns are a little bit looser, okay, and subject to be attacked. Also, the occupation of the d file is important, because black has to worry about the occupation of the 6th and 7th ranks respectively. Therefore, rook e d8, stopping that. That gives white a tempi to move his king into a better place. There's king e5, like I said, king e2, and f5. So this was what black was thinking when he traded the queens and played d takes e4, that he can move this majority. Rook takes d8, rook takes d8, rook d1, rook d5, rook takes, c takes. So now white is banking on his b pawn to win the game, and black is going to try to push his majority through. So g3, g5, h4, g takes h4, g takes h4. Now king f4, h5, h6. Maybe king e5 is a little better, backtracking a little bit. But h6 was played, and king d2, and now king f3, and king e1 was played. And now black plays king g2, which is a mistake here. His best bet was probably move like king f4 with the opportunity to play e5, king to e5. In other words, when this pawn takes off, he wants to have his king in a position where he can step into the square of the pawn to be able to stop it. Alright, so sorry about that. Somewhere black miscalculates. He plays king g2, and now b4, f4, king e2, e3, and now simply f3. Perhaps he was counting on f takes e3 or something like that, where after f3 check, then black would just be winning. But after f3, there's no way to stop the b pawn from advancing, and no way to advance his own pawns. And notice again the theme of blockading. Once you blockade the pawns, they just become mere liabilities. All right. And so obviously a miscalculation here by Solak when he played the move king g2. So king f4, keeps the game, as a draw. Okay, but more importantly is just to notice the plan in the beginning. It's a simple plan. Is white winning the game? No. Is white having an advantage? No. But at least you have some kind of direction to point when you see the move g6 on the board. You can play your typical Colle system moves as you see here: knight bd2, bishop d3, and castle. knight e5, okay, and then after c takes, e takes, knight c6. I have this plan of playing against the hanging pawns on the queen side. So when knight c6 comes out, trade it, and the black gets his e5 in, trade that, and then that becomes your reason to be, is playing against these resulting hanging pawns here in the position. So that was like your little mini lesson in the what to play against g6 in the Colle system. So that's it for that series. We'll probably be looking at some maybe some Stonewall, different plans in the Stonewall defense for black and white in our next video series. We'll see, but like I said in the comments below, if you have any particular openings you want me to go over some plans for, I will be glad to do that. Just list it in the comment section. Until then, please support my channel in the links below. Donate. Click on the links for the DVD/books related to the opening that we talk about today in our video. And I will see you soon.